Hey there, guys. I'm super pumped to be able to come to you live and do this live stream. I'm a little sideways, cockeyed, upside down right now, so let me figure out what's going on here with this because I'm sideways. You are all sideways. I guess I'll turn it. I don't know. Why am I upside down? I guess I will do it this way. I don't like it this way. Let's do it this way. Trying to get this stable so we can run. Connection's weak, so I'm always gonna have this problem with my Wi-Fi, so I hope this is not gonna affect this stream here. Ay, ay, ay. What an effective way to start. Well, I'm glad you guys are just in a private group. This is not stable at all. Yeah. All right, I guess we're gonna have to roll with that. Got everything all super delicately stabilized. All right, so let's get it started. I am so grateful and thankful to be a part of this group, the Fit Life family. And I wanted to, of course, thank Mindy for being one of my strongest leaders in this business. She has built such a solid team, tribe, and culture, and that's you guys. And that's the difference between if you're growing your own personal business or if you're building a long-term business, is really focusing on building a community of like-minded people who are focused on the same type of effort and vision. So I am so grateful to have Mindy as one of my best, closest friends. We've been friends for over 12 years, and then also as a partner in this business for life. And this business has really just allowed us to be able to become even stronger in our friendships and allow us to enjoy life a lot more because of the freedom that we've been able to build by having this business. So yeah, we are making a lot more money, but that was not our intention. Our intention to doing this business wasn't to seek making a ton of money so that we could be rich. That wasn't our goal. I don't even think either of us thought of what money could be made. I remember when I first started this business, and then 6 months in, I hired a consultant, and that was Craig Holliday, to work with me and the leaders because I didn't know anything about network marketing. And that was one of his questions that he asked is, how much money do you want to be making in 30 days, in 90 days? And we were all kind of baffled by that question because the majority of my leaders and the majority of the people that were building this business in the beginning of Team Platinum Presenters, majority of us weren't even really focused on doing this for money at all. We didn't really know what the potential was, and we really focused on just really what we had deep in our heart and what we really loved doing, and that we could just do it in a greater capacity. So that was really kind of the motivation of why we're doing this. But I am so thankful that we have this business, and it's allowed us to be able to grow the success that we have in our personal lives, our relationships, but also in our team, and that it is going to help us have a lot more choice, a lot more freedom and choice. So tonight, I wanted to talk with you guys about how to step away from your business, as well as how to recover in your business after life events or illnesses, many different reasons why, even frustration or just getting a loss of mojo. That's what I wanted to go over, and I really thought this was an appropriate time. Very emotional about it. Mindy losing her sister was really hard to handle because she is one of my closest friends. And I didn't personally know her sister intimately. I knew of her from all the years of hearing about her. I did meet her a couple times, but Mindy is one of 5 kids, and she's the youngest of 4 girls. So there's 4 girls and 1 boy, and she's the youngest of them all. I'm the youngest of 4 girls. And so that just really it really hits you. You know, how quick things could change. And where are you leaving your footprint, your thumbprint, your relationships? And it's such a wake-up call. And I'm so glad that she allowed me to be there with her through this time, because this is a hard time. And sometimes you just want to shut the world out when something major happens. But I'm so grateful that she allowed me to be as much as I could with her. So this was obviously something that is just by shock. And when something happens by shock in your life, you sometimes can't prepare to take care of, all the odds and ends that you have. You may not be able to effectively notify your work, or to align, babysitters, or take care of things in your life. And these are the things that I wanted to bring to the table of how do you step away from your business and still have your business thrive, but then additionally, how can you come back to your business and recover? Again, now there's many reasons why people will have to step away. Life events, and it could be something just super busy, like you're planning a major event for your family and it's just taken all of your time because it has to be perfect and you can't focus on anything else in life but this. Or it could be a major accident. It could be a major illness. And it could be something as traumatic as close death in the family, and having to handle personal issues that you just didn't plan, that were just completely unexpected. But also this will relate to just you losing your mojo, being frustrated with working to build a business and not seeing the fruit of your labor, should I say. And honestly, it really takes 3 consistent months of strong activity for you to finally see something. So that's different than 3 months of being in the business. Do you see that, what I'm saying? Because 3 months of you being in the business is different than you finally doing 3 months of consistent, accurate activity that is going to produce business building activity. That's when you will then see the flip of the tide. I used to live up in New York, and we were boaters, and we had a boat on Lake Ontario. And so we would start our boating season at the end of May, because that was kind of when the weather started to turn nice. But realistically, you didn't get into the water. You didn't get into Lake Ontario until around mid-June, end of June, kind of the beginning of July. And then July, the water was amazing. And we would be in that water, it would be warm, we'd be chilling. Then all of a sudden, at the end of July, beginning of August, what happens to the water in Lake Ontario, and I'm assuming other lakes too, is it flips. And then in August, all of a sudden, the water is ridiculously cold. It's because it flips. And that's kind of what this business is like. If you are solid in sharing the business, being consistent with your personal development, and doing consistent, working out and nutrition, putting up valuable content that people are really wanting and responding to, they're sharing, they are commenting, engaging on it. When you're consistent with that type of activity for 3 solid months, there is no break, that's when the tide or the lake flips. And all of a sudden, boom, you start to see it come in. And that's what you have to really be aware of. Okay, so this is basically where I wanted to go. You may have just lost your mojo and are trying to figure out, well, this is the lost cause, I'm going to move on to another business. Because, that was actually something that one of my coaches brought up to me. I had a coach call with one of my top coaches, and he was working with trying to identify certain leaders in his business. And one of them came and said that this business is not for them, that they failed at this other thing, and now they're failing at this. So they got to get something else. Something else has to be what's going to make them successful. It's not going to be. That's not going to change anything, because that's you. It doesn't matter which product you're selling. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which business you're in, which job. It's you. So, realistically, if you're not having the pace of success that you think you should, a lot of the times it relates to many of these things I'm actually going to dig into, so that we'll be able to help you guys out. All right, so one thing I wanted to really kind of go into is, again, you're going to have life events. And I am no stranger to this. I've personally had this happen many times for me in my 8 years of being a coach. So I don't know if you do or don't know me, but I am Mindy's coach, and I am the person that has started the team Platinum Presenters. So I am actually Platinum Presenters. That started May 31st of 2008. And our team is over 200,000 large, and I'm so thankful for the strength of the leadership, the strength of the pack is why we're so successful. And truly, this is something I did not know was possible. did not know, because I'm just that poor girl growing up from the country that has an associate's degree, a 2-year degree that I took 3 years to do for college, but I immediately had to start working because I had no money. And I didn't know what I could do because I had a ceiling on me. And this has allowed me to be able to develop myself, which then in turn helps develop a lot of other people to be able to create a lot of success. But this happens to my coaches all the time. I start a lot of coaches off. They're super pumped. They're super excited to do this as a business. And they last for about a month or so. And then all of a sudden they kind of disappear. And then they disappear. They become inactive and they may even possibly quit. I can't save that person. I can't make someone successful. I can't do it. They have to want to do it. I'm just going to be that point person to help them become successful. I have the track record of success. I have created a lot of the wheels, so no wheels need to be created. The wheels have been created. You just need to plug in and then tweak your wheel, shine your chrome and run with it. But realistically, I can't make them want to do this. And they have lost the reason why they wanted to do this. They didn't see the vision of what they are doing this for or why they are putting something else on their plate. I can't make that happen. But life is going to happen, guys. Things are going to happen in your life that is going to make you either unable to completely focus at all, so a death, or something catastrophic, illness, something major is going to happen in your life. How are you going to be prepared to be able to save your business, everything that you've worked for, but also come back to it? How are you going to be able to do that? I got to share my story, and this is way back in the beginning. And I'm not saying that anything I did in the beginning was right, because looking back now, it's not necessary. So what I did back in the day to get the feet running on this old dang business is not necessary these days. This is 8 years ago. So like compared to a smartphone, think of trying to build your business on a beeper. Like that's how we had to build the business back then, 8 years ago. There was nothing. So I did a lot that I just had to do at the time. It was a choice of what I had to do at the time. So I have to share the story because a major life event happened for myself. 2 major life events happened at the exact same time. I think. Oh no, these are 2 different events. I'm like, how did that happen? There were 2 different babies. All right. So when I started, I joined May 31st of 2008. And when I joined, my son was just born. And he was born March of 2006. Where am I? I'm all confused. Why am I confused? Let me get my story straight. All right, wasn't the loss of my mom. This is the story. Okay, I'm confused of what year it was. Here's my story. I was thinking it was the loss of my mom, but it was actually my daughter. So yeah, I did lose my mom, but that was in 2006. And I basically, after I lost my mom, that weekend, I had to go present a certification for Turbo Kick and Plyo, and that was just something I did. But here's the story of what I wanted to tell you guys. So I joined May 31st of 2008. I was pregnant with my second child, my daughter, Peyton. Peyton was born October 1st of 2008. My son used to go to a child care center 3 days a week because I needed time to build the business. He picked up a virus there. It's called RSV. And we didn't know. But Thanksgiving, the end of November, he was super sick. Like he was so super sick that he wasn't even trying to get up out of bed. And you know a kid's sick if they're sleeping the entire time. He was ridiculously sick. Well, we kind of forced him to be around his sister to take some family pictures. Peyton was 8 weeks old at the time. So I just had Peyton. I just pretty much got clearance to start working out again after a second C-section. And we were down in New Jersey. And I was going to start to teach group fitness again right when we got back, the beginning of December. December 1st, I believe, was the exact day. She was not acting right. She was only 8 weeks old. But I remember, being home, and she was kind of like bubbly at the mouth, like making bubbles. And her skin color didn't look that great. It looked a little gray and all. And I really didn't know what was going on. But I'm not that type of mom that rushes in for every little thing. Well, I was about to go teach my first turbo kick class again after being gone from a C-section for 8 weeks. So I was super pumped. I had a cute outfit, as much as I could be cute, all chunky after a baby and C-section. And I was super pumped that I just kept my eye on her and that little bouncer. I can remember seeing her there in that little, bouncing. And she was kind of really getting less color, more blue. And she had a lot more foam at her mouth. But I had to go teach. It was 5 o'clock and my class started at 5:30. So I told my husband, take her to the doctor. He took her to the doctor and I got a call right as my class was starting that they were rushing her to the hospital because she was basically losing life. She was losing all the life because she had no air. She contracted the virus that my son had. We didn't know, but because she was a newborn, her bronchioles were so tiny, she was super tiny, that they're closed off. They're too inflamed. And a virus, you can't give medicine to just fix it. You have to wait and see what happens. I was panicked because I'm about to teach a class, like ready to hit play on the music. I taught the class. Again, you're in a state of delirium, so don't judge. Don't judge. I'm in a state of delirium. I don't really know exactly what's going on. But I taught the class because it was my responsibility and I couldn't just walk out. I had a room full. And I then rushed right from the hospital from the gym to the hospital. I was there for 2 straight weeks. My daughter, her life was at risk. And this was right when I was 6 months into the business. How did I get through that? Living in the hospital for 2 straight weeks, eating chicken tenders every day. Because that's all there was. There was no Shakeology back then. Pumping my milk because I couldn't even hold her. She was in a tent of oxygen. I couldn't hold her for 2 straight weeks. And how did I get my brain to want to stay doing this business? I did because I had a responsibility. I had a responsibility to the people that joined this business with me. I couldn't just up and disappear on my end of the deal. I asked them to join me and do this with me, but I couldn't just disappear. My activity probably was less. I remember running a team call because it was exactly December 10th when Chalene Extreme was released. And I remember these dates again so clearly because it was such a traumatic time in my life. But I remember that feeling of obligation that I couldn't let a team weekly call go by without being run, especially on a product release week, especially from my friend and mentor, Chalene. So I stepped in the hallway and ran this team call, launching this Chalene Extreme, December 10th, 2008. And we were out of the hospital by December 14th. She finally was, cleared, thankfully. And we were back in again at the end of December 26th, because again, signs reoccurred. But I'm not saying that that's right, but what I did was I still felt obligated to at least stay engaged. Again, your mind could be in a weird delirium state, but that's just what I did. I did what I felt responsible to do. I didn't check out. I decreased my activity because I still needed to show up to some degree. So what I want you to think about is think about anything in your life now. Even think about the responsibility. If you have kids, what is your responsibility as a parent to these kids when something happens in your life? How do you need to show up for them? Can you just cut them off and disappear from your kids? If something traumatic is happening in your life, you still need to be there for your kids. It's your responsibility. The same thing for your job. So if you have a full-time career and something traumatic happens in your life, or you're frustrated, or you lost your mojo, whatever it is, when you go back, you go back. It's your responsibility. It's your obligation. You have a job. You can't just stop. Why is that any different from building this business? If you decided to do this as a business, why is that then an option? If you're deciding to do this as a business, it shouldn't be an option. It should feel like a responsibility, an obligation. You have to have a feeling of you can't be selfish. You can't be selfish. Something major is going to happen in your life. Again, major life event, loss of mojo, frustration, sick of trying to achieve Success Club, whatever it is, something's going to happen. I want you to feel that responsibility to your coaches and to your team. How would you feel if your personal coach off and just took off right now, how would you feel? Would you be like, what the F? What? Now I'm by myself? Now I got to figure this out by myself? I think you'd be kind of mad. I think you probably would say some choice words about that person because they just up and left. Poof. It's not important anymore. You're not important to me anymore. I roped you into this thing and then I'm gone. That's kind of what it would feel like. We have to feel that responsibility to your coaches that it's an obligation for you to come back to your kids. What if you don't have coaches? What if you don't have a downline team yet? What about your customers? You have to feel that connection and responsibility to supporting those customers that you've already gained. And if you don't have any customers, what about your following? Your following is a responsibility. They're coming to your page because of what you're putting out there. They need what you're putting out there. People aren't just going to visit you because they just want to see what you did this weekend, unless they're a close family friend. People who are trying to stay in your world that really don't know you personally or intimately come to you for something. And that something could be motivation, education, support, something that they're going to get out of you. So you have to feel responsible to coming back to that. Like that's how I feel with my workouts. I personally don't like to work out. I love to work out when I teach my 2 classes. But if I could have a choice of not working out every day, I probably would choose not. I feel responsible that I have to go work out because I have to take pictures and video. Every time I work out, I take pictures and video, no matter if the world sees it or not. And I do it for multiple reasons, but more so, I do it for accountability, content, because the more content you have, then the more ideas, of course, that you have as well. But I feel responsible to putting up that content for my following to keep showing them that I keep walking my talk. I keep walking my talk. Even though I don't like this, I'm still going to friggin' do it. What about your responsibility to the people who are stalking you? Because there's people that have their eyes on you right now and they haven't raised their hand yet to you. You don't even know about them yet. But they're sitting from afar with their face pressed up against the glass, judging if they're gonna raise their hand and come to you and say, I want to be a part of your challenge group. I love how you support people. I want to join coaching with you. I love that you are positive, motivational, and you really lift other people. That's what they're watching. So you've got a responsibility to your coaches, to your customers, to your following, and to your soon-to-be following or stalkers. Those are your responsibility. And if you just up and leave, that to me is selfish. You know, I think that's selfish. I don't know why I wrote handle it. I wrote handle it. Some people are going to stay engaged because it's something to focus on. Oh, that's why I wrote that. So during a life event, some people, like one of my other closest friends, said that during this very super hard time in their life, their escape was communicating in their challenge group or doing their workouts and putting them online. Their escape was a responsibility to this. So everyone's going to handle things differently. So we're not judging one thing is more important than another, or you did this wrong because you should have stepped away. There's none of that. We all got to decide what we're going to do and how we can handle it, because whatever we need to handle that. Let's wait for you. Hi, coming back again. Okay. So I'm going to give you some suggestions on what you can do when you do need to step away. So things that you should make sure that you line up, but then also, how do you come back? How do you come back to your business? I'm going to give you those tips as well. To give you another quick story, we did have a huge event in our life this past December 2015, that stripped me to a point where I didn't care. I could not do this. I couldn't do this. I couldn't. And it's weird because it wasn't a person that I lost, but it was my dog. My husband and I were trashed for a week. And I know some people are like, it was just a dog. No, it's different. You know, everyone has their own relationship, and it's not like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But we lost our dog, Rocky. We never had a pet, a family pet. This was our first family adult life pet. And we got him when we moved to Texas from Rochester, New York. And that's the reason why we named him Rocky. So we moved here to Texas. It was our new Texas big life of sunshine and happiness. And we got a new dog for this big neck daddy house. And his name was Rocky. And he was just so lovable, just so, he was the pillar of this life. This life that we have here, he was the pillar. He was the foundation. And when we got him, we found he had a severe heart murmur. And the vet said, you probably want to return him back to the breeders. And we said, no, because they're just going to destroy him. So they said, well, he's probably not going to have a very long life. It's not long life as normal other dogs. And we said, no problem. So he's 4 years old. He was 4 years old. He didn't run for the ball much. He was never a super crazy dog, but he was 4 years old. And in December, I posted this on Facebook. The video is still there. I didn't know what was going on because I woke up one morning and he had like a hiccup in his breath. He would exhale forcefully and hiccup. And I didn't know what was going on. So I took a video of it and showed Facebook. I said, what's going on here? What should I do? Everyone said, go to the vet. So I'm like, okay. I took him to the vet, expecting that they're going to say, oh yeah, he's got this, take this medicine, you'll be on your way. I went to the vet, took their x-ray, and found that his whole chest cavity was full of fluid because his ventricle basically had stopped working. And so his chest cavity was full of fluid, and it was just all pressing up. So he gave me hope, though. He told me to drive off to this other emergency vet 45 minutes away. They'll probably just give him some diuretic, and then he'll stay the night, and then you go home. I went home. I packed his bed, his toys, because I thought he was going up there to spend the night. Drove him up there. They put him on the table to ultrasound, and he's like struggling to breathe, and I'm like freaking out, and they're basically saying, you got to call it. And I'm panicked to make that decision to end his life. So painful. We had to do it. We held on so that my husband could get the kids there from after school, so we all could say bye. That trashed my husband and me for a complete week. We couldn't function. We were astonished. My kids jumped back quicker. I mean, they were still sad, but they just kept going, oh, Mom, you're crying again. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop. I didn't want to do anything in this freaking business. I didn't want to have any coach calls. I didn't want to run a team call. I didn't even want to put up social media. And I didn't because I couldn't. We could barely decorate for Christmas. We basically threw up the trees as bare bones as we could and said, this is good enough for this year. We couldn't do anything, but we knew we still had to for our kids. I'm fine with that because, first of all, I had to show my kids grieving. They need to know it's okay to grieve. I have a responsibility to teach them those things. I didn't want to be just that strong parent that just says, nope, this stuff doesn't affect me. No, this stuff affects me. And it had me sitting on the couch just forever because it affects you. How do you take yourself out of your business effectively, though? Especially when life is unexpected. Here's my tips. Here's some suggestions. First of all, you need to have systems. So here's your point number one. You have to have systems rolling now. So you can't create the systems when that event happens and then all of a sudden say, oh, I got to put together a training system for my coaches when they get on so I can step away. That stuff has to be done now. So the first thing what I would love for you to do is look at your business and see, where am I limping? If someone signed up in the middle of the night, could they actually get rolling without my assistance for the first week or so? It should be yes. You should be able to plug them into a system where they know exactly what to do to get set up, the basics of the business, and how to kind of get their wheels turning. Easy one, simply enough, and I'm going to be changing and modifying it, but is the 14-day jumpstart within Platinum Presenters University training site. I know that for myself that is something that is open, obviously, to all of Team Platinum Presenters. And then I assume Mindy has, some sort of ramping up system as well. If you have a team, so if you personally have a team and you are a star diamond or even a diamond above, you really have to start considering about establishing yourself as a pillar of leadership. and not a follower of Mindy or a follower of Ember, a follower of so-and-so. You can't constantly be a follower and then be also seen as a leader. Hopefully that makes sense. So make sure you've got the systems established now. The second thing that you can do to step away, especially when something major happens, is you got to call upon your leaders. So you personally may not be the person that says, this happened, can you take over? But you have to have that ability to do that. Who do you have that in a moment's notice you can just say, I can't do this right now, can you? Thankfully, Mindy has a great team of support. Even, Michelle Myers is not even her personally sponsored coach, but because of Mindy's leadership and because of her friendship and because of the relationships that she has created with multiple people outside of her own personally sponsored coaches, that's why the flood came. That's why I stepped in and asked Mindy's assistant, Dominique, let me do something. I want to be that point person that people can connect to, because I don't want her bothered right now. I want her to be able to feel comfortable to be away. And even with my coach, Janelle Summers, Janelle even offered to come and do for Mindy's team. It's because Mindy has established herself as someone who will always take care of you, no matter who you are. And that always comes around. So think of yourself. Who could you call on in a moment's notice to just take over because you can't be there? And this is something you have to consider. And this was something that was presented to me when I first was starting and I hired that consultant, Craig Holliday. He basically said, if you die, what is going to happen to your business? So if you die tomorrow, what is going to happen to your business? Can it still run by itself? I'm in a thankful position that for the most part, yes, it will. There's things that probably could still keep bettering to make sure that there is a system that can be taken over. But for the most part, yeah, Team Planet Presenters will be solid because there's so many pillars of leadership and connection points that's the attachment. So can you leave your business and have someone take it over? That's the next thing. So establish and arm those leaders. The next thing, assistants. So I know not everybody is going to have an assistant dependent on where you are within your business and your success. But there comes a point where you really want to consider to have an assistant start doing things within your business with you, because that person might be the only person that you can reach out to and say, hey, take over. And so that is one area that you really want to strongly think about, especially if you do have a sense of a solid business. You definitely want to put something in place and have someone that is working with you. And the other one is, this is the perfect time to anoint new leaderships. So anoint new people who may have not stood up with their hand raised as a leader yet, but to arm them with that responsibility. Because think about it. How would you have felt in this situation if you weren't normally someone that ran things, took care of these team calls, put up that training? If you normally weren't that person, but you were always the person that just connected, how would you have felt if Dominique or somebody else reached out to you and said, hey, Mindy has to step away right now. Can you take control of this? You would rise up. You would do it. It's the same thing as when you were first asked to babysit. You remember that feeling of, I gotta do it. I'm going to show them I'm the best dang babysitter ever. This is the same thing. It could be a time where you're anointing someone as a new leader to rise up. And that's what you might need to do. Here's the other things you want to do. Notify your social feeds. Because, yeah, you're going to step away or whatever it is. If you are stepping away, at least put a message out there so people know what's going on. And in a hard time, it is really hard for you to do it. So that's why you might need somebody else to log in and do it for you. An assistant, or just somehow muster up something that can go up yourself to notify people. Personally for me, especially when I lost my dog, Rocky, I quickly made a video because it was so deep on my heart right now. I wanted to give him like a memorial type video right away. And I was like, bawling, trying to put this video together. And I put it up and I got it up right away. And then I kind of disappeared because I had to. But then I was thinking about it as like weeks passed. I probably would have put that video creation off. I probably would have never made that video, but I did it in the heat of the moment. Sometimes you just got to do things for the heat of the moment because people need to know. They would know, oh, that's what's going on. Or they wouldn't just think that you just up and disappeared, because you can't have that rep of being inconsistent. You got to always be consistent and let people know where you are. You might need to set up an email responder letting people know, I needed to take time off for a week. I'm sorry. My sister will get back in touch with you, or I'll get back in touch with you within the next week or two, whatever you want to do, but set up an auto out of office responder. And then again, you do need to notify your team. All right. Those are the things that I would say to establish if you do need to just all of a sudden up and leave or whatever the case might be. Okay. So the next thing that I want to cover is now you're coming back. How do you motivate yourself to stay motivated to build something, especially when, again, you're coming from something where you were so distraught, so mentally disengaged, and kind of coming into a point of, oh, I gotta do this again, or I gotta do challenge group, or stuff that's just not like awesome for you. It feels daunting. How do you recover in your business after a major life event or losing your mojo and now coming back in? I wanted to share this with you. But guess what? No one's going to be able to motivate you to do it. You have to be the one to motivate yourself. You are the only one that is going to be able to motivate yourself to do this. It's the truth. And I'm going to share with you these 5 steps that are going to help you do that, but also really give you more clarity in doing this as well. The first thing that I would suggest that you do is focus only on the positives. So when you're coming back from a life event, you're basically coming back to a ton of email, a ton of Facebook posts, a to-do list that is like this. You're coming back to overwhelm, and there could be a lot of negativity that you have to weed through. There could be some gripey, complaining people who are mad that you've taken so long to come back. Selfish, you know? That's why when I put up that post, I said, don't give Mindy a week before you start contacting her. Wait for her to contact you, because we don't know. We don't know how long she's going to have to be disengaged. We don't know. But you're strong enough that you can handle it. You can handle you. You're going to be okay. You don't need her to be a success. She's awesome, but you don't need her. Does that make sense? Okay, so the first thing again is focus on the positives. The first thing that of that part, is when you come back to your business, only do the stuff you love. So don't worry about the other crap, that the part that you kind of don't like, or that's daunting, or makes you feel like you got a weight on your chest. Only come back in the business of the parts that you enjoy and that you love. That's the first part. The second thing is only work with the positive teammates or the people you enjoy. I know it kind of sounds crappy, but this is the truth. I couldn't handle, after coming off such a traumatic event, to come back and have to deal with an excuse-ridden, blaming, whining person who doesn't want to take ownership for themselves and for the reason for their lack of success. I couldn't do it. I probably would say all the things I probably shouldn't say. So, hands off. Only work with the people that are positive in your business. And that may only be a few initially, and it's not that saying that the whole team is negative, but sometimes, again, it might only be a few people that you only can reach and talk to. It's not saying that other people aren't positive. It's just these people are right now what I can handle. That's basically it. The other thing is no negativity. You got anyone negative? Cut them off. Anyone who's negative, push them out. You just don't have that time. You just don't have that brain cell for it. Push them out. Don't allow them to sneak in. Don't. You got to set up walls. You got to set up barriers. Who cares if they texted you 10 times in a row? You don't need to answer that text. I'm sorry. You aren't responsible to other people's demands. That's why I don't answer the phone every time it rings, because I didn't plan for a phone call right then. I plan for my phone calls. So I'm not going to just impromptu answer the phone and derail me. Same thing with negative people. They're going to try to come in and squirm in and tell you all the bad things that happened. And that crappy coach said this on the wall, and we were trying to get rid of this, and oh, you won't believe what this person did. Did you hear all that? That's negative. Get out. The only thing really is positive. That's all you need. And the other part of it, and this part, it doesn't mean that it's relative to your coaches, but spend time, maximum time, with people who fuel you. That doesn't need to be a coach. That could be anyone. That could be anyone that you just need to have closer to you right now because they lift you up. They help you through. They fuel you. Spend time with those people. That's point number one. Second point, focus on you. So here's where you got to focus on you. First, you're going to have to align a system of getting back into the rhythm of things, because who knows, you probably went off track on your nutrition and your exercise and your personal development and all of that. You probably went off track on that. So first things first, create a system of plugging back in and schedule it. But here's most important is focusing on you is focus on really good nutrition. Because when you're coming off of a negative event in your life or a traumatic event in your life or just a major funk and mojo, you're down. And usually when people are negative and down and feeling tired or exhausted or emotional, they go for the crap. And the reason why I'm saying that is because that's me. When I'm overtired, I go and eat the crap, the processed foods. So if you really want to feel better, lift your spirits, you got to go clean. You have to be more efficient and effective in your nutrition. Schedule a system, whatever you got to do. Batch cook, pre-plan your meals. Know exactly what's going to happen for that week so that you can get back in the rhythm. And the same thing goes for your workouts. Have a plan of what's going to happen for that week. Because if you don't have that scheduled and have a plan to know what you're going to do for that week, it's going to be left up to your willpower. And willpower doesn't always win, because willpower is like a muscle and it fatigues. And there's only so much of your willpower that you can rely on, especially when you've already been in a hugely emotional state. So you just need to schedule it. And I would say schedule stuff you love to do. Don't schedule stuff that's going to beat you up. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. And then the next thing is to work on your personal mindset and development. So whatever that means, and everyone is focusing on what they need depending on where they are in their business. But if you are trying to find hope again, if you are trying to find a purpose again, if you're trying to find a vision again, if you're trying to find a connection again, if you're trying to find self-worth again, whatever it is that you're trying to find again, fix your mind. You can't build a positive life with a negative mind. You can't. It's impossible. You cannot build success negatively. You can't. You can't. Fix your mind. Focus on your mind. That has to be the cornerstone for everyone, guys. Really focus on that, because I am that one person that was against everything personal development because I thought it was for the wacko people. I thought it was for the people who just needed to latch on to something because they were such losers in life. Truly, I did. I thought that personal development was for those types of people. And I now look back at my life and I look at what was going on in my life and the horrible cheating relationship that I was in with the boyfriend who was cheating on me all the time, and the horrible job that I was in that I hated doing all the time, and the no friendships that I had, the lonely life that I was creating. I was creating a life of solitude. I didn't have any close friends. And I finally turned to Anthony Robbins. I went down to the Buffalo Downtown Library. I lived in Buffalo at the time. And I took out my first cassette system from Anthony Robbins. And I said, all right, let's see what this is about. That was my first exposure to it. And realistically, not until really kind of these past 4-ish years or so, 4-ish years, is when I really dove deep into personal development. And this is honestly the reason why I feel so much more confident in myself as me. And sharing me, the ugly side of me, the mistake side of me, the not perfect side of me, the common human side of me, because that is me. And that's why I let go of pretending that I loved fitness, pretending that I didn't have issues with food, because I was a closet yo-yo fitness professional dieter. No one knew. I hid from Shalene for so many years that I would puff up 15 to 20 pounds in the months she wouldn't see me. But then when I knew I was going to go see her, I'd diet down strict and hard restrictive to get that weight off so that I could pretend like this is just my normal self. I lived like that forever. That didn't change though until I really focused on myself, my mindset, spiritually and mindset, multiple ways. But then the other side is focus also on your professional skill development. Learn something. So what is something that holds you back? Is kind of a sore thumb to you? Learn that. Just focus on that. You need to focus on you. Next, we're going to go easy. Point number 3, eat an elephant. So point number 3 is how do you recover back into your business is just go eat an elephant. How do you do that? One bite at a time. That's it. Just go and do what you can do. Yep, you're going to be crushed with emails. You'll get to it when you get to it. Sometimes it's not important. Sometimes if you don't respond right away to people, they figure things out for themselves. And this was a lesson that I learned myself when I was working as the National Promotions Director for Powder Blue Productions and managing 60 plus presenters. Because they're kind of like coaches where they've got a moment to build their presenter business that they would crush me with, oh my gosh, where's this information? How do I do X, Y, and Z? And I had a system for them to plug into. And if I quickly responded to them, answering it, I trained them like Pavlov's dog that anytime they ever needed a thought, I would be right there to help them. Okay, here we are. So if you don't immediately respond to someone, depending on the situation, sometimes they'll figure it out for themselves. And a lot of that you were stockpiling while you were gone is probably a lot of that. Stuff that they had to figure out themselves. They Googled. Oh, they Googled and they found the answer that they needed because that's where all it is. So just come back in, do what you need to do, starting with the positives. 4th, resistance management. So resistance management is something that I heard first from Marie Forleo, and it's in regards to Steven Pressfield. And this is the books that she was referencing. These 2 books, I've started to read them, and initially, which one? This one, Turning Pro by Steven Pressfield. It wasn't as fast in the beginning for me to start reading, so I'm like in the middle of it. But I keep hearing people over and over and over and over again talk about how amazing this book is and how amazing this book is by the same author, Steven Pressfield. I need to get into it and see what the heck they're talking about because she was talking about that, and she was talking about resistance management. Resistance management is those roadblocks, those objections, those frustrations that you have. You're going to get resistance in the growth of your business and the growth of yourself. How are you going to handle that when it happens? Because if you think it's never going to happen, once I reach making $1,000 a week, I will be set. The rainbows will appear and I'll be happy. Because it's the same thing as when someone says, once I lose these 20 pounds, I'll finally be happy in life. We know that that's not the case. The same thing goes for this business. As soon as I make $5,000 a month, I'll finally be happy in this business. That's not it, because you're still going to face resistance. And we know that that's not what's going to make you happy in life. How much money you make, the size of your jeans is not what's going to make you happy in life. That's why personal mindset is so important. But what's going to happen when you do hit that wall? I don't care how successful you are. Everyone in life, Oprah and everyone, faces resistance. How you get around it or over it is the difference. So you need to train yourself to learn how to get through it. And one of the key things that you would need to do to be able to figure out how to train yourself to get through objection, frustration, exhaustion, whatever it is, resistance, is to stop looking at it as a negative. Everything is a learning process. One big question I get is, what would you do different if you could do it all over again? Or what's your biggest mistake? I have no mistakes in this business. I made a lot of errors or judgments that probably were not good, and a lot of bad things probably in the growth of my business, but none of it's been a mistake. All of it has been learning. I've grown from it all. I've grown from it all because it taught me to be better, to do it differently, to open my eyes to another way, to show me that I need this better or whatever. Everything is a learning process. So the first thing is when you are faced with that resistance, you need to teach yourself how to view it. How are you going to view it? Are you going to view it as a negative? Are you going to come into the private Facebook group and start to complain your face off because coach relations just screwed up something else with your customer or your coach? That's what happens. I try to protect my personal sponsored Facebook group page as much as I can. And there'll be coaches that will just put some crap up there of, I was talking to this person about joining as a coach or doing a challenge group with me, and they went off with this other coach. I can't believe that other coach stole my customer. Negative Nelly, hi, it happens all the time. I lose people all the time to other people. I don't blame anyone. I could blame myself. Maybe it was my fault because I didn't follow up enough with this person. Maybe it was my fault because maybe I didn't get to know the person as much. I learned from it. It's all viewpoint. So viewpoint, how do you get through resistance? Do you look at it negatively as just another thing that happened to me again? It always happens to me, always. Because if that's your mindset, you're not right. You got to fix that. And the final thing, the fifth point, is vision. Do you have long-term motivation for this? What are you really doing this for? Because again, if you're looking at, I'm doing this because I want to make $5,000 a month, or I'm doing this to pay for my child's daycare. I'm doing this so my husband doesn't need to work if he doesn't want to. By the way, don't ever say I brought my husband or my spouse home. No, that takes away them as a person and their choice, and like you're this hierarchy, like amazing person that saved him. No, I didn't bring my husband home. I said I gave him an option. It was a choice. Everything of success in this business is allowing you to have choice. Money allows you to have freedom of time, choice, and what you do. One of my coaches I had a coach call with today, we're working on a strong plan, and I said, why are you really doing this? And she owns a fitness studio, and she really had a hard time saying it out loud that she eventually wants to sell that. And I really wanted her to say that out loud. But then I said to her, I said, you stumbled when you were saying that. Were you scared to say that out loud? And she said, yes, I was scared to put it in the universe because I know when you say things to the universe, things happen. I said, here's the thing. You don't need to think that you are choosing to sell and get rid of your fitness studio. With success of this business gives you that choice of what do you want to do with it. Because maybe you do want to still own it, but you could just have a ton of people run it for you that you are hands-free. It's not always about cutting things off. It's about choice. So what is your choice or your reason or your motivation of doing this business? For me, it's not about something of a goal, another notch on my lipstick case, like Pat Benatar said. It's not about achieving a mark, a rank, a money, or my husband to not do this, or my kids to be able to do every sport they want. It's not that. The reason why I do what I'm doing is because something inside of me that can't ever go out. This, why I do what I'm doing, is something that's in my bones, my blood, me. I'm doing what I'm doing because I deeply love helping other people achieve something of success in their life, achieve something that was impossible. I love seeing the light go on. I love to see the smile go on. I love to see people supersede me. I love success. I love that. I'm not threatened by it at all. I want people to do insanely better than me. I'm not threatened by it all because I'm unique. I'm going to still succeed in different ways in my life. It doesn't always have to be a marker of this. That's why I'm doing it. That doesn't die. I don't achieve that and then be done. That's always going to be there. That's why I'm still 8 years in and still showing up in this business. Because tell the truth, I don't need to build this business to make more money. We are doing very well, making a lot of money doing this business. But I'm not done yet. Me, my touch points with people is not done yet. What are you not done yet with? That's what you really want to deeply connect with for long-term motivation. because your willpower and your fiery, excited motivation when you started this business is gonna die. It all does. It all does. And truth be told, I get in so many funks a lot. I get in frustrations, mad at my team. I get mad at this. I get so frustrated with doing this activity. I still do. I come out of it because I have long-term motivation. I have long-term vision. That's what you definitely want to make sure you latch onto so that you'll come back to your business. And the final thing is that it's never too late. So if you think, oh, well, I've already been kind of disconnected from my team for months and they probably all hate me and, don't want any part of me or whatever. Nothing is ever too late. What is always the best is for you to accept where you are, acknowledge it, be upfront, and to never put an excuse to it. So if you've been MIA or you've ruined relationships with your team and you want to show back up, let them know that. Let them know. I'm sorry. I really have disappointed you. I let you down because I had to get over myself, whatever your situation is. I had to step away. I had to figure out what was important to me. Acknowledge that you are at fault for stepping away from them because they should still be going. They should still be building their success if they're in it for the right reasons and see that vision of long-term motivation. You being there is not dependent for their success. But you signed a deal with them. You signed a deal with them that you wanted to be there for them. You wanted to be that point person for them, the leader, the mentor, the anchor for them in this business. And you just pulled up your anchor and sailed off by yourself. Own up to it. Own up. Don't say, but. Don't say, I did it because. No. You got to own up to where you are, your faults, and swallow crow. That's what you got to do. And that, again, it's never too late. So I hope this has been able to kind of open up your mind because I thought this was a perfect topic, especially for the moments of where we are. But this happens a lot. There's a lot of crap that happens in your life, your coaches' lives, and to be able to step away and also recover, come back into your business is a thing I think a lot of people don't address very much, but I thought was super important. So thanks guys for having me. I'm really pumped that I was able to be a part of the Fit Life family. And I will stay for any questions. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Otherwise, I am going to be sharing this video off with Dominique. She wants to put it over on YouTube, but I also have recorded it. I think, oh no, I didn't. I'm gonna have to take it off of here, and I'm gonna put it over on my YouTube channel, and I hope I can use this as an audio for the podcast too, because I gotta get back up on doing the Platinum Edge podcast. If you don't listen to it, make sure you do subscribe to the Platinum Edge podcast. So the Platinum Edge is a conference, as many of you were attending, and also I do have to give huge props to Ember Neville. I watch a lot of stuff that she puts out and on Snapchat as well as over here. And I'm grateful and thankful for you, Ember, because you're constantly in support of the team and the culture. And you pay attention and you utilize what you're learning. And she was at the Platinum Edge and she is constantly making references to it of what she's learned, what she's applied, and what she's already seen happen out of it. And I'm grateful for coaches like that because it's effort. It's a lot of effort and time away from my business to be able to do this. And I really want other people to succeed for that reason. And I love seeing other people who are supporting all of us all together and also in that the conference as well. All right, so cool. Thank you guys. I'm so glad that this was helpful for many of you all. Appreciate it as well. And again, please, give Mindy still time. Again, we don't know. I don't know exactly her timeline of when she's coming back. I know she did put up a snap for the first time tonight, but I don't know when she's going to be re-engaging back on her business. But again, she'll come back because she's got long-term vision. She's got long-term motivation. She's like me. She's not doing it to hit a rank. She's not doing it for money. Obviously, we've achieved those things. She'll be here. She'll be back. No worries. Cool. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're excited. We already have the dates. We already have the contract and everything set. So we were initially trying to move the conference out to February because it's just a better time of year. There's no football, and the fall for our household is insane because it's my daughter's birthday. It's our anniversary, which we basically, I said, just forget about. But then my husband coaches football, and then putting on this conference, it's just like, this is such crazy time. And then we have leadership meeting so much, and I really want to move it out to February. And so we can't do it this next year, but I believe we do have a contract for the year after for February. But we do have everything aligned back up for the Gaylord. We will be releasing registration, just building out the registration and information page fairly soon. And also I'm going to be sending that out to the VIPs first so that they can get the access to the slide presentations. And when we get all the videos back, those will then be uploaded in there. But I want to get them the slides right away so that they can start doing some training from that. And also, what else? I wrote it all down. I got stuff out there. Okay. Oh, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for saying that the conference is valuable. I honestly am just really transforming the conference to be that vision of what I feel that we as entrepreneurs need and not what we as coaches need. So I don't want the conference to teach you how to get Success Club points or to, sell Shakeology better or the next challenge pack better, because that's pointless. What the whole conference is about is your skill development, your marketing skills, your leadership skill development, all of that. That's what the whole conference really is going to be geared strongly towards, and branding of yourself and building in network marketing in downline. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you guys being on here. I have no idea how long I talked for, but I probably talked forever. I just can't help that. But thank you. I appreciate y'all. And thank you again for being such an amazing team within myself with Team Platinum Presenters, but also for being such a huge positive and amazing support for my close friend Mindy during this time. And I can't thank you guys enough for really just staying strong in your business. You stayed engaged. So appreciate y'all. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.